it nicely. And while I'm not able to use it, I'll just delete this so that I don't get billed for it. So this machine is there. Okay, so yeah, things like will happen to your to you as well when you work on AWS and all those things. So yeah, it's better you understand what are the issues you will face. Okay, so I okay. So I'll just copy this DNS, okay, or I can just go here and copy the DNS name using SSH client. Okay. Same thing. I'll just go to mobile xterm, okay, and I'll just SSH here, add a remote host here. In advanced setting, I use the private key that I just created, okay, and I have it now. Just press OK, and it will ask me some username. So Ubuntu is the default username, and we should be able to log in here without any issue. Okay, perfect. So this time, okay, so I'll just say, will I be able to save it? Okay, fine. We don't need to save it. Okay, so if you work with Docker, right? The first thing you need is Docker command. Okay, so when you type Docker and if you do see that the Docker command is not there, probably you need to install Docker on your system. Okay, so how to get in, how to install Docker on your system? You can install Docker using uh, the Docker website. Okay, so you can go to docker.com, okay, get Docker, okay, and here you will get all the instruction to install Docker for your system. So you can install Docker on Mac, Windows, or you can install on Linux as well. Okay, Docker desktop is one of the alternative. So it is a UI based application that you can install on a system, and it has much more ability than plain Docker installation. We will not install Docker desktop because that is for UI purpose. We don't have a UI based system here. We just have a CLI. So we will install a plain Docker engine here. Okay. So what I'll do is we have a Ubuntu machine. So I will go to Docker engine, install and Ubuntu here. Okay. So there are prerequisites. You can install it. So here it will tell you the command to run. So the first command you need to run is this one. This will install any older packages that are installed on your system. Okay. So I'll run this command here. Okay. I copied and pasted here. Okay. Unable to lock pod manager. Fine, fine. So it removed the packages that were old and need to be removed before. Okay, so the next command I need to run is you see installation method Docker engine come bundle with Docker desktop, Docker engine from Docker apt repository, or install it manually using. So we'll use apt repository. Okay, so here is the command that you need to run. Okay, so I'll just run it here. Okay, and it will do some installation. A lot of things it is happening here. So what I'll do is I'll just make a Docker installation document so that you can also follow during your uh, during the training. Okay, so I'll open Notepad here. Okay, and I will share this with all of you. Okay, so I'll just add a new file here, and this file will be called as install Docker on Ubuntu. Okay. install docker install.m. Okay, so the first command you need to run is you need to delete the old packages. Okay, so this command deletes old packages. You see it is running some sudo apt package done. Okay, so this is a this is a simple bash command that will uh, delete old packages. Okay, and this is only valid for Ubuntu. Okay, and we took reference from this website. Okay, so I'll just copy this here. Okay, so delete all packages and then install. Okay, so for installation we use this one. Okay, and this what it does is it adds apt repo. Okay, so the apt repos will give you access to Docker CLI, just like you do apt install something, right? So apt install Docker will not work without this thing. Okay, so we added the apt repos. Repos are nothing but a website where the packages are stored. They are like Artifactory, JFrog or something like that. Okay, so now we have installed the apt. The next thing is we need to install Docker packages. Okay, to do install the latest packages, you can use this one, or if you want to do a specific version, you can do that. Okay, so we will run this command now. Okay, so it is asking some input, so we'll do yes. Okay, this will be real quick, and it should be updated. Perfect. So it is doing some installation. Now I'll just run this command apt install, and it will install Docker packages here. Okay, so while it is installing, we'll update our document that we need to install packages. Okay, and we will run this command. Okay, so this covers installation. Okay, and test if Docker is installed. Use Docker version. Okay, and we will run that command now. Okay, so let's see if our installation is worked. Yeah, installation is done. And now if you run Docker version, you should see a Docker build here. Okay, so if you see this output, Docker is installed on your system. Okay, so after a fresh installation, okay, if you are not a root user, you cannot run any Docker container. Okay, so Docker is installed in the root for the root user. Root user can do any can run any container. But if any other user want to run Docker run command, okay, so Docker run command, okay, Docker run command will create a container. Docker run, okay, so the next command, if you see here in the installation, it says run this command. Okay, so it is running in this sudo, but we are running with a normal user. It says permission denied. Okay, this permission denied is because Ubuntu is not authorized to run Docker run command. Okay, so you can run this command using root or sudo. Okay, so if I do a sudo Docker run, it will run something, and now you see some output here. Okay, so this output is coming from a from a Docker image. So what happened here is, okay, so when you run this command, okay, when you run this command, what happens is, if I go here, so when you run this command, it creates a, let me open this X draw. Okay, so when you run this Docker run hello command, okay, what it does is it first downloads the image. Okay, so there is a image repository. Okay, Docker Hub is a default image repository, image for hello world. Okay, so this command will download image from here. Okay, so it will download the image. Okay, and it internally, this operation is called pull operation. Okay, so actually it is pulling the image. Okay, and once the image is downloaded, okay, it tried to create a container. Okay, so it says create container. Okay, so once the container is created, okay, so every container runs something. Okay, every container has some operation to do. Okay, so it runs a command. Okay, so the container runs some command. Okay, and when the command finishes, it exits. Okay, command finished. Okay, and then it is exited. Okay, so the container exited. So this command can be anything. Okay, let's say echo hello from container. Okay, so it will print this output. Okay, or maybe you want to run Python app, right? Python script, or let's say app.py. So it will run this app.py. Okay, and this app.py can be your microservice, it can be your program, it can be a batch service, okay, that does something and exit. Or it can be a long running service like API server or something that will continue to run. So it will, the container will continue to run unless you stop it or the program dies. Okay, so this is what happened here. Okay, if you see the output here, so we ran docker run hello world. Okay, so what it says unable to find image locally. So it is not able to find, it did not find hello world image locally, so it downloaded the image. Okay, so it says pulling from library hello world. So this library hello world is nothing but Docker Hub. Okay, so we'll talk about Docker Hub as well today. And then when say I downloaded the image successfully, it says downloaded newer image, and then it printed something. Okay, so this is the output of the command hello world runs. Okay, so when you see the hello world image, it runs some command here. Okay, so we'll also see how to work with this, what is the command in the Docker image. Okay, so we'll create a Docker image as well ourselves, and then we'll run it. Okay, fine. So the first command you do is docker info. Okay, so Docker info tells you information about the Docker engine. Okay, and there are certain information that are only available to uh, uh, group of users. Okay, if you're not part of the group, you will not see it. Okay, so the server details, when it try to find server details, it says the user is not authorized to get server detail. Okay, so how do you add a user into a group where you have more permissions? Okay, so the name of the group is Docker, and you have to add this user to that group. So what I do is I user mod. Okay, I add it to the group, and the group name is Docker, and I want to add Ubuntu as the in the part of the Docker group. Okay, so once you add it, you have to relog it. So you do sudo su minus su Ubuntu. So it will relog in you into the Docker. Now, if you run Docker info, you should be able to see much more details here. Okay, so you don't see any errors. Now you can see the server information as well, because you are the part of the Docker group now. Okay, so what I did is so I just did Docker info. Okay, and I can just su sudo minus Ubuntu, and I can just add this. Okay, so I did this command to add user into the group. Okay, so this is fine. Add user to Docker group. Okay, so what you do is and instead of hard coding the username, you can just say user here. Okay, so user variable stores the user name here. Okay, perfect. So now your user is part of the Docker group, and then you need to relog in. Okay, and how do you relog in? You relog in using sudo su minus l and $user. Okay, so this will re-login you into the system. Okay, fine. So we are good with here, good here. Let's try to see what are images. Okay, so we saw that hello world image was not there. If you see docker images command, so docker images. Okay, so su sudo su minus l, need to log in into Ubuntu user. Okay, now I do docker images. So docker images command tell you what images are present on your local system. Okay, so you see only one images here. Okay, so you can delete image, you can add image, you can pull image, you can push image. Okay, so there are few operations you can do with images. Okay, we'll talk about them as well when we create our own image. Okay, um, so how do you pull image? You do pull by running docker pull command. Okay, docker pull, and let's say I want to download the Ubuntu image. Okay, so I type Ubuntu and the version of the Ubuntu. Okay, so by default, if you don't pass any version, it is latest. Okay, if you don't pass any version, it is latest. If you pass any version, that version will be downloaded. Okay, so I'm just downloading latest version when I do docker pull Ubuntu. So this is downloaded from the Docker Hub. Okay, so what is Docker Hub? So Docker Hub is the public repository for Docker Hub is a public repository for container images. So this is the largest container repository. Okay, you can create your own private repository as well. This is a public repository that you can use to host your public images. Okay, and we will see how to create your own image and push to Docker Hub. Okay, so you can always sign in, and you can also browse the Docker Hub public containers by just browsing here. So I just downloaded Ubuntu. So when I press a search for Ubuntu here, I will get all the Ubuntu images, the name, with the name, right? So you see Ubuntu, the top image, it was downloaded 1 billion times. Okay, so so by the volume of the download, you see how many people are using this image. Okay, so this image is published by Ubuntu community Canonical. Okay, and you see it is maintained by Canonical. Canonical is a group of people who created Ubuntu. Okay, this is a company who created Ubuntu. Okay, so this is one of the image. So so whenever you go to image documentation, it says how to use this image. Okay, so and what does the image do? Okay, fine, this is fine. So we downloaded the image. Okay, and when you do Docker images again, you will see two images here. Okay, you can see the size of the image. So this Ubuntu image is only 72 MB. Okay, see the size of hello world. So what is the size of hello world image? 13 KB. Okay, have you seen an image so small? Like, you might never be. So this is a complete operating system. Okay, so it is just 13 KB in size. So it's lesser than your image, or maybe like you send a WhatsApp text message, right? This is smaller than that. Okay, perfect. So this is fine, right? We talked about images. Okay, and let's try to run. Let's try to create something which is more relevant to Docker. Okay, so what we will do is we'll try to create a Python application, a microservices using Python. Okay, and we will try to run on this system. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll create a Python Flask. Okay, Flask application. So I'll just go to Python Flask application, and before I do anything, okay, I need to create a Python virtual environment. Okay, so Python virtual environment is a concept where you will create the Python application in a sandbox environment. Okay, so you don't want to disturb the outside environment. So you create an environment which is only applicable in when you are able to log in here. Like it's like in your house, right? You have a separate room for yourself. Okay, so when you are inside your room, you can do anything. Like you can it's your private space. Same thing is in Python. You can create a private space using Python virtual environment. So what I'll do is I will create Python minus -env. So venv is the module, and I will create a virtual environment using Python. Okay, Python is not there. So Python 3, I guess, is there. Okay. Seriously. Okay, Python 3 virtual environment is not there. I will install it using sudo command. Okay, so this will be real quick, will don't take much time. Okay, and I will run this now. Okay, so this will create an environment. And so to show you what is happening. So Python pip3 minus pip3 freeze will tell you what all packages are installed. Pip3 is also not there. Let's install it. Okay, this is another one of the requirement as well. Okay, so don't worry, all these commands are already noted in the documentation. Okay, so so this is already there in the documentation. You will get it, the MD file. Okay, let it install, and then we will jump into virtual environment. Okay, so we will need to create an again because the pip package was not there. So what I'll do is I'll just remove the virtual environment folder. Okay, and I'll just need to pass -r so that it can delete recursively. Okay, don't worry about it. Like, we still not into the Python application. This is just a pre-setup. So I need to source it, when activate. Okay. Okay, now I am into a virtual environment, as a sandbox environment. Now what I'll do is I'll create an application, and this is using app.py. Okay, so in this app.py, I will write a code that will just do a hello world. Okay, so what I'll do is I have this code already ready here. Okay, in the training handout, and this is the code here. So I'll just copy this code. Okay, and I'll just paste it here. Okay, so this code is nothing but it prints hello world when you browse the browse the application. Okay, so how do you run it? Okay, so you need to run the Flask application, you need a Flask package. So pip install Flask is just like another. So PHP, Node.js, Django, all these are frameworks. So Flask is also a framework to develop front-end and back-end applications. Okay, so now I have installed Flask, and so the next thing I need to run is the Flask application. So what I'll do is I'll just run this Python app.py, and it should run something. So it is running the application on 5000 port. Okay, because I didn't open 5000 port, I need to pass the port here. Okay, so what I'll do is app.py. Okay, and instead of port 5050, I'll just pass. Okay, I cannot do this. So 5000 is fine. Okay, so let's run it, and we will open the port so that we can see it. So how do anyone who can tell me how to open ports on how to open security port on E0 machine? Okay, I think we did not had this training yet. Okay, my bad. It was not pushed. So I go to security. I I see the security rule here. This is the launch board. So I'll open all the ports on this machine, okay, from some range, like 5000 to 10,000, so that I can open all those ports. Okay, so I'll just select this. Okay. And now if you see inbound rules, okay, where is it? Edit inbound rule. So HTTPS, what I'll do is instead of HTTPS, I will say all TCM, all TCP, and let's allow all, right? All traffic. So I'll just say save. So this will allow all the traffic, and you see our application is running on 5000 port. Okay, and I can browse this website using the public IP of this machine. Okay, so the public IP of the machine you is here. Okay, So this download. Okay, so come on here. So the public IP of this machine is here. Okay. I go here and 5,000 I need to browse, and you see hello world here, right? So this is the hello world application. Perfect. So we see the hello world here. Okay, this is the hello world here. Okay. Now what happened? What we want to do is let's try to change something in the in here. Okay. Let's try to do some changes here. So when amp.py, I'll just say hello world from host. Okay. Okay, and this host name will be fetched from the uh, uh, the host of the host name of the machine that where the application is running. So how to get host name? So host name can be fetched from just a sec. Let me. So this can be get from socket dot get name. Okay, and to get this package, you need to import socket. Okay, so socket dot get hostname will give you hostname. Okay, and this hostname we are using here. I'll just save it and I'll just run it again. Okay, and if I refresh the application now, you will see the hostname from IP here. So okay, so this is the host name here. Okay, I can change the host name of this machine. Okay, host sudo host name ctl. Okay, and set host name. This will be like Docker 102. Okay, so the now this is changed, and if I run the application again, if I see here, you see Docker 1 from Docker 102. Okay, perfect. So this application is running in the system. Okay, and you can run it manually. Okay, but to run this application, you need to install Python. So you saw the setup, right? You install Python, you install pip, you install the virtual environment, you install the Flask application. Okay, but how do you avoid all these things? Like you when you work with in a larger environment, you cannot do all the step manually, or you cannot maintain all this step by yourself. Okay, maybe there is an automation you can do, but again, this will be overhead. Okay, so how do you get over it? So you can get over it by Dockerizing this Flask application. Okay, so we will see how to create a container image of this application and deploy this application in Docker container. Okay, so for this thing, we have to install Flask, right? So to install Flask, you need to so in Python, there is a requirement.txt file, just like any other package, any other programming language. There is a dependency file like Gradle, Maven. In Node.js, there is a packages.json. Okay, in PHP, there is a composer file, right? Here also we have a requirement.txt file in Python. So how do you create a free requirement from the current environment? You do pip freeze. Okay, and I'll just say requirements.txt. Okay, so this creates a requirement.txt, and you can see the requirement. So these are the packages required to run your application. Okay, so once your application is running fine, you can store this value into your uh, uh, application. Okay, so now I will be Dockerizing this application. To Dockerize this application, you need a Docker file. Okay, so Docker file is nothing but a file that you can use to create Docker image. Okay, so let's see how you create a Docker file. So Docker file uh, the file name can be anything. What I'm using is standard file name that Docker understands. Okay, so Docker file I will create, and uh, in the Docker image you create, you need a base image. Okay, so you need to start from somewhere. Because this is a Python application, I will start from Python. Okay, so I will use from Python. Okay, and you can specify the version of the Python. So I'm using 3.12. Okay, so that is my Python version. Okay, and I need to add certain commands to include the application in your code. Okay, because your application has have the like your application will be a code, right? So to run your application you need that code. So you need to copy the files in the current in some folder. Okay, so folder I will say slash app. Okay, and we will create this application directory. So application, you can run command using run block. So there are certain capital. So you see, from this is written in capital, workday this is written in capital, run you have written in capital, copy you have written in capital. So what are these? These are the attributes, or these are the functions in a Docker file framework. Okay, so what we are trying to do is we will start from a base image. Okay, just like how do you build a house, right? You start from a land, so you buy a land first. Okay, you cannot build your house in a year, right? You have to buy a land. So the land is a base of your house. So we have to start from base in Docker for Docker images. So this is our base image. Okay, from this we will start building our application. So for Node.js application, you will use a node base image. Okay. For a like Java based application, you will open JDK image. Right. If you just need a general purpose image, you can use Ubuntu image. So I'm using Python image here. Okay. And because our code will be stored in some location, I'm using a base location in container. Okay, so in my container the application will be stored in app folder. Okay, so I need to create this app folder. So what I'll do is I need to run some commands to prepare image. Okay, so in image your image will have a app folder, so you need to create app folder. Okay, so this instruction will create a app folder. Okay, now I need to copy my application to app folder. So I'll just copy slash dot to app folder. Okay, so once you copy it, what I need to do is I need to install copy code. Okay, I need to install dependencies. Okay, because my application requires uh, uh, certain dependencies like Flask we need, right? For one of the things, and then Flask will have some dependencies. So we need to install dependencies. You can install dependencies for Python. There is a pip install, and we have created a requirement file. Okay, so you can install requirement file to pip install requirements.txt. Okay, so now your dependencies are installed. You need to start the application. Okay, so this is the main part. You remember we told like uh, you need to the Docker container run something. Okay, so what is this the run thing here? The run is the command that the container will run. Okay, so how do you specify the command to run? You use cmd command. Okay, cmd flag here. Okay, and you need to specify the program that you want to run. So I will run Python, and what argument I need to pass? App.py. Okay, so so what does this mean is, so we started from a base image, python.py, Python base image. We created a folder called appdir. Okay, app folder. We wanted to, we declare a app base folder app. Okay, where we created that folder just to make sure it exists. We copy the code into that folder, and we ran command into that folder. Okay, so this will install required packages for my application. and then we started the application. Okay. All right. So we created this app, this Docker file. Any doubt here? Any confusion here? This
So
is
now,
like, yeah. Sorry.
so will this file eliminate all this? What is this? Flask and all.
Yes, it will eliminate. I'll show you in a moment. How does it work?
Okay, okay.
Okay.
And please
Mm.
let me know which applications will it eliminate. I mean, Flask, and you also installed some other applications, right?
We did, yeah, we did install. So you don't need to do anything of that on other system. You just need a Docker environment. If you have Docker environment, you can run it anywhere.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So now I have created Docker file. Let's try to create image out of it. Okay. So Docker, uh, just a sec. Um, just a sec. Okay. So Docker, so how do you build a Docker image? There is a command called Docker build. Okay. So Docker build command uh, builds the Docker image using Docker file. So you must have a Docker file in your current folder. So wherever you are running Docker build command, you need to have a Docker file in the current location. Okay. If it is not in the current location, you can specify the Docker file path by -f flag. Okay. Okay. Fine. So the basic syntax is Docker build, okay? And you need to pass the name of your Docker image, okay? Just like we have Hello World, we have Ubuntu, same is here. You need to pass a name for Docker image. I am passing is -t, and this is my Python Flask application, right? Okay, Python Flask app. Okay, and I'm not passing any version here. If Because it will create a latest version. So by default it is latest, so I don't need to pass latest. If I need to get another version of another name for it, let's say V1. Okay, so this V1 is the version of your application. One, V1, V2, V3, beta, alpha, gamma. Okay, this you will create whenever you create a newer version or upgraded version of your application. For now, I'm omitting everything. Okay. Now I need to pass a folder. Okay. So folder, why I need to pass folder? Because it need to copy your code, right? So your Docker file and your code, your application code can be in different folders. Okay. So if I have this application code in a folder called src, I can pass it src here. Okay. So that it will take files from src folder. Okay. Because my application code is in current folder, I can just use dot here. Okay. I'll just press enter here. Now it is building the container image. Okay. So what it is doing is it is okay. So when you when you have a Docker file here, right? Docker file. Okay. So when you run Docker build command, okay, and -t image name, okay, and image tag, okay, okay, and after image tag, you need to provide the directory, okay, context directory, okay. So this all you need to pass, and optionally you can pass the Docker file path. Okay, if your Docker file path is not in the current folder, you can always pass Docker path as well. Okay, so what it does is this command takes this Docker file, okay, and read the instruction one by one. Okay, so you see we had from here, right? From image, okay, run command, okay, and you see copy copy files to destination. Okay, copy local file to container. Okay, container. Okay, and then command. Okay, cmd. You need to run command to run. Okay, and after apart from this just command to run, you can also pass arguments to command. Okay, so just like Python thing. Okay, so what this Docker build is, it starts running this Docker file line by line. So it says from image. So what it from this, what it says is download the image. Okay, so it says I need to download the image because it did not find download image. So from this instruction, it says I need to download the image. Okay, if the image is already present on local, it will not download anything. Okay, the second thing is it need to run command. So what it does is run command in container. So everything happens in container. So so it runs command in container. Okay, so when it sees copy instruction, it says copy from local to container. Okay, so it copies local file into container. Okay, and the command is the last command. So so the cmd thing, when you fire, right, it says this is the command I need to run. Set command to run. Okay, in image. Okay, so all this thing it will, okay, it will set in the image. So when it creates the image, it creates from this image, it runs this command so that all the required packages are installed in the image. Okay, it copies the application code into the image, and then it sets the command that need to run when you create a container from that image. Okay, so when you spin up, so when you have this image created, so when you run this command, it creates the image here. Okay, so this is your image here, local image. It creates a local image, local container image. Okay, and when you run the container image, okay, run the container image, it runs this command. Okay, so this command is run when you spin up a container of it. Okay, and we'll see this in a moment, this now. Okay, okay, so it failed. It says application already exists. Okay, so which is fine, we can just remove this instruction. It was just a example, so I'll just delete it. When you do like this, it automatically creates app folder. Okay, so I'll save it. I will run the same command again. Okay, and this time you will see it will be much faster than before because the Python images is already downloaded. If you see Docker images, you see, okay, right, it's not showing up here, which is fine. So I'll just run this again, and now you see it land to the fourth directly. So it is installing it. Now it's say the Docker image is ready. Okay, and you see here, so it ran the first command from Python 3.12. Okay, then it says run copy command. Okay, then it says run pip install command. Okay, these are the only command that you need to run. The cmd is set in the image itself. Now, if you see Docker images, you will see one more image here, Python Flask app. Okay, and this is the image the Docker build command created on local. Okay, fine. So the image name is so we use some image name, right? So what I'll do is I'll just update this image just to make sure. So Python Flask app, and we didn't use any label. Let's try to give some label so that we can work with label. Okay, so I can build using some version. So I say v1 version. This time it did not do anything because everything was already done in the image. Okay, and it just renamed another, it just created another version of the image, and you see there will be two images here. Okay, you see the image IDs are same because it did not do anything. it just copied this image and created a newer tag. Okay, if you add some changes, it will create a new one. Fine. So we have a local image with this name. Okay, so we have a local image with this name. Okay, and you know how do we run this, right? So let's try to run this. So to run this image, what you need to do is docker run. Okay, and then you need to pass the image name here, right? So Python Flask v1. Okay, so this is the command I need to run. Okay, so I will run this command. Okay, okay, and now you will see it is running an application. It is running the application. This application is running inside container. Okay, so this application is running inside container. Okay, so you see this output running in this. This is the IP of the container. Okay, okay. So this now this application is running in container. Okay, this application is running in container. So how do you how do you access this application? Okay, so you cannot use this URL, or you cannot access this using our global I mean our this package. So if you enter this, you will see there is nothing running on this, so you're unable to connect. So it says nothing is running on 5000 port. So this port is inside container. So container is an operating system. It is running, the port is inside the application. How do you get this application port outside of the container? Okay, so for that, what you do is you do port forwarding. Okay, so so this this container has a port running 5000. Okay, 5000 here. Okay, to access this port on host. Okay, so this is your host. This is your host. To access this port on host, you need to map this port into some other port on host. Okay, so let's say I map this port on uh, 5000 outside. Okay, so I say 5001. Okay, so how do you do it? You need to pass a new flag called -p. Okay, and you need to pass 5001 here, and you need to pass the container port here. Okay, so let's pass this into this command. Okay, so we'll just update this command by passing the port here. Okay, so I'll just copy this command. Okay, I need to stop this container. Okay, I need to run this container again. Okay, okay. So now I should be able to access this because this is running on the host. If I run it 5001, I should be able to access it. Now you see, right? So you see this right, this name. This is not my host address. This is a container address. Okay, and if I stop it, okay, so you notice this 518. Okay, let me restart this. Okay, and now if you are refreshed, you will see a new address here. So this is running in another container. Okay, and the beauty of this is you can have multiple Ubuntu. Okay, so I can run this command on multiple location. Okay, I just need to add another port here. Okay, so this is running. I just need to change this port. Okay, 52. Okay, and what it will do is it will run this same application on another port. Okay, so 5002 port. Okay, so you see another application is running. So there are two application instances running on my system. Okay, uh okay, perfect. So okay, so I'll just stop here. Okay, and if I okay, so so I'll just stop here today because so okay, let's continue tomorrow again. Like we will continue from here. So what we learned today is how to create how to create a Docker image from a application code. Okay, and how to run it on the system. okay, and how to port forward. So these three things we learned today. So we'll continue from here tomorrow, and we'll see how we can push this image on another on the Docker Hub, how to log in into Docker Hub, and how to host images on Docker Hub. Okay, host your own images on Docker Hub. So we'll continue from this session tomorrow. Okay. I hope this was a useful session.